Continuing the virtual modelling of the USB hub, once you have your base part, and this is mine, and you note that I have extruded to a curved surface like in the video, then we can start adding further details. So what I want to do is add a little bit of detail at the back of my work as to where the USB hub itself will go. Now the USB hub has particular dimensions. It's a rectangle, but it's a rectangle that is 77 by 42, okay, in terms of its total width and total length. So I need to consider where that's going to go. Other things that I need to look at are where, in my case, from my drawing, where my mobile phone holder is going to go, which is going to go here, ring, my holder for my watch, and where my iPad's going to go. So I need to plan those. So what I'm going to do is add a new sketch to the top plane. So what I originally sketched on for my first sketch. So there is my top plane. So now I'm going to normalize, or just press the N key or the top here, so I look at it in 2D. So what I want to do first of all is look at creating a space here as to where I'm going to put my mobile phone. And I'm actually going to try and do it on a stand. So I'm going to start by sketching where roughly I would like it to go. And you know, if you notice, as I'm trying to sketch here now, the line is jumping over here because it's trying to snap to different points. The only way to remove that is usually when you zoom in a little bit more, which allows you to have more control. So I'm going to draw my first line there, and actually at 80 millimeters, that is quite a good size. So I'm going to just add my dimension and change that to be 80. What I'm then going to do is, on my design, I'm going to draw that, instead of it from this point here, so let me just quickly undo, instead of that being like a rectangle, I actually want mine to be what we call slightly tapered, so just going in to a smaller part at the back. I'm going to create a stand. So I'm going to draw another line and press escape. I'm going to click on my line tool. I'm going to draw one from this side, okay, roughly following my sketch. Press escape, and then I'm going to join the back of the object. Now, ideally I would like this to be parallel to this one. I have no idea because I've randomly drawn them. So I could do things like selecting parallel lines. From the menu at the top here, I could pick this line and I could pick that line, and if you notice that line just changed. I could measure an angle, so let me pick this line and then this one, which gives me an angle in between. So if I change that to 80 and then I repeat that for this side, I can also make that exactly the same. Okay, so now I look at my work and I think, is that right? Actually, I think I want more of an angle. So let's change it to be 70 and 70 in this case. Lastly, I could also just make sure I get this angle correct. And of course, it should be 110 because then this adds up to be 180 on both sides. So all is fine. Then I'm going to draw where I want the ring. Okay, so I'm going to use measurements from my charging device that I already have. Okay, and I happen to know that that measurement is 40 millimeters. So I'm going to change this to be slightly bigger at 42.5, slightly bigger. Okay, and then after I've done that, I'm going to position. Okay, now what I'm going to do with these is cut into the work a little bit. You'll see that in a moment. Okay, lastly, I want to think, where do I want the watch to go and where the iPod iPad goes, sorry. So I'm going to put that into a view like so, and you can see what I originally had here as well, okay, is my little place for my wireless charger for my headphones. So I'm going to add that in. I'm just going to add that in as a rectangle. Let's give it some dimensions. Okay, which is 60 by 35. Then I'm going to press escape and I'm just going to move that. And then lastly, again looking at my 3D sketch, okay, I'm just going to draw in a space about here, roughly positioning where the iPad is going to go. So now I have my sketches to work from. I will do the watch stand a little bit later. So I'm going to accept that. So this is about the detail. So now what I want to do is I want to create some cutouts into my work so I can remove some material. So in order to do that, I want to have a plane that's above my work. So I'm going to go to the plane tool. I'm going to pick my top plane and I'm going to do what's called an offset plane. Okay, so this is it here. So I'm just going to change that value to be 30 and accept. Now I'm going to sketch upon that new plane. So hopefully, there we go. It's now picked. Plane 1, which was my new plane. And what I'm going to do now is use this sketch that I drew before, my planning sketch. I'm going to do that because I'm going to do something called project it, which in other words is like tracing. So if I pick that and I click on the lines that I drew before, there is my sketch. So now I have my sketch up in the air. What I want to do next is actually subtract that into my block of material by choosing remove. Okay, now it starts to get hard to see everything. So one of the things that we can do is hide our original drawing, and now I can see a little bit more clearly what is happening. So I just want to remove a small area of material from here, like so. Once I've done that, I'm just going to neaten that up ever so slightly with some small rounds or fillets. So let me just spin my work around, picking those inner corner edges like so. Okay. The next thing I want to do now is I'm going to start adding my mobile phone stand at this point. And I'm going to use everything that's already here to help me to sketch.